Today is Tuesday in Holy Week, and the gospel lesson is again from John chapter 12, this time verses 20 through 36. And I'll read that to you now and then offer some reflection on that. Reading from John chapter 12. There were some Greeks in town who had come to worship at the feast. They approached Philip, who was from Bethsaida in Galilee. "Sir, we want to see Jesus. Can you help us?" Philip went and told Andrew. Andrew and Philip together told Jesus. Jesus answered, "Time's up. The time has come for the Son of Man to be glorified. Listen carefully. Unless a grain of wheat is buried in the ground, dead to the world, it is never any more than a grain of wheat. But if it is buried, it sprouts and reproduces itself many times over. In the same way, anyone who holds on to life just as it is destroys that life. But if you let it go, reckless in your love, you'll have it forever, real and eternal. If any of you wants to serve me, then follow me. Then you will be where I am, ready to serve at a moment's notice. The Father will honor and reward anyone who serves me. Right now I am storm-tossed. And what am I going to say? Father, get me out of this? No, this is why I came in the first place. I'll say, Father, put your glory on display. A voice came out of the sky. I have glorified it, and I will glorify it again. The listening crowd said, Thunder. Others said, An angel spoke to him. Jesus said, The voice didn't come for me, but for you. At this moment, the world is in crisis. Now Satan, the ruler of this world, will be thrown out, and I, as I am lifted up from the earth, will attract everyone to me and gather them around me. He put it this way to show how he was going to be put to death. Voices from the crowd answered, We heard from God's law that the Messiah lasts forever. How can it be necessary, as you put it, that the Son of Man be lifted up? Who is this Son of Man? Jesus said, For a brief time still, the light is among you. Walk by the light you have, so darkness doesn't destroy you. If you walk in darkness, you don't know where you're going. As you have the light, believe in the light. Then the light will be within you, and shining through your lives, you will be children of light. Jesus said all this, and then went into hiding. So we hear another incident that's happening here during this Holy Week as Jesus has gathered his disciples for Passover, and it's moving toward what we know is coming, the crucifixion and the resurrection. And here it says that two people from Greece came and sought out Philip and said, Sir, we want to see Jesus. Can you help us see him? And even when Jesus got the message that there were people who wanted to see him, he didn't say, oh, well, let me make an appointment. Let me set up a Zoom meeting. No, instead he started talking in this way about what was coming, about what was happening. Unless a grain falls to the earth and dies, it just remains that grain. But if it does fall to the earth and die, it becomes more and more. There is this life Jesus speaks of that can come from this way of going down and of facing death. That's the way to have life, that to hold on to life, to grasp it so tightly, is to not really have it. But to let go is to have it. And so in a way, instead of just saying, well, come see me, this person standing here, Jesus tells who he is, who the Christ is, that the Christ way is about this going down, about letting go. And from that, God brings life. Now, we can say, I've seen all kinds of hard times. I've seen things die and no life come out of it. What are you talking about? And maybe we're like those people when that voice spoke from heaven and said, I have glorified you and will glorify your name again. And some said, well, it's thunder. Some said it's an angel. I'm sure there were others who said, who knows what that is? You people are making things up. But I imagine that those men who came to Philip in the first place, they heard the voice. They heard what Jesus was saying. Why? Because their eyes were open to see, because they were seeking. Sir, we would see Jesus. Show us Jesus. They had the eyes of faith. And here in this gospel lesson, Jesus talks about faith without really naming it, as there are those who can see and those who can't see, those who can hear and those who can't, those who see the light and walk in it and let that light fill them, and those who deny the light and walk in darkness. So in this Holy Week, may we put ourselves in a posture of having our eyes open, of being expectant to see what is happening, to let go of all those things we're clinging to in our own life that might keep us from seeing. So may we pray that we can have those eyes of faith and that we too could see Jesus.